This is the Friday Night Fever Afterburn, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning.
Welcome to Friday Night Fever Afterburn. Week 11, the final week of the regular season is in the books. We've got a lot to talk about tonight with playoffs, with undefeated teams, with playoffs, sneaking in, with some losing and missing out. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get right into those scores. Go ahead and take us away with this first page.
Well, starting off for our game of the week, a battle of the Tigers, and it was a good one. But Chipley comes out on top on their home field, 32-26 over at Tommy Oliver. The undefeated Bucks looking to make it 10-0. Well, they did just that, 41-24 over Rutherford. And then in Jackson County tonight, we have South Walton and Marianna. That was a close one, 26-25 is the final from that match. And then Walton back at home for the final time in the regular season. They put on a show, 54-14 over Northview.
Well, heading over to Port St. Joe, the Sharks, they win big, 35-14. Freeport and Sneads. Sneads gonna put half 100 on the board, 50-28. That one with big playoff implications. North Bay Haven, they roll over Arnold. No real playoff implications in that one, but a big win for North Bay Haven. And then Cottondale, they cruise past Graceville, 44-6.
And then another one, the Battle of the Counties. Again, I always say that when Liberty County plays another county. Well, Liberty County on the road, they win that one 49-24. And then Vernon also on the road tonight, 30-20 over FAMU DRS.
We had a couple of games last night, a handful actually. Mosley, they're going to lose big to Choctaw. It's a close one, 7-0 in the first half. And Choctaw rolls in the second half. Cole Tab, he's the real deal. Holmes County also picking up a big road win over Destin. They finished the regular season at 8-2. 32-14 is the final. And then Weewahitchka, they roll past Franklin County. Big one for them, possibly clinching themselves a playoff position. Well, we're going to talk about all of the playoffs. We're going to talk about the seeding. We're going to talk about who's in, who's out, who's going to have to wait till Sunday to find out. But first, we're going to get into the highlights. We're going to get into the games. Let's start off up in Chipley. A huge win for the Chipley Tigers. What did you see from this matchup?
Well, I was just impressed with this Chipley offense. We know they have a lot of playmakers. We know Ethan Berry was stepping into this role, wanting to see some action from him, and we really saw it tonight. That kid has a arm, and he looked good tonight. So much talent on this Chipley team. It was a different receiver, Kyler Bryant, Jakeem Hawley, Tayshawn Sims later on. So Chipley looked really good offensively, and they forced a lot of pressure defensively. I think, within the first 4 drives, they forced 3 fumbles from Blountstown. So that was a big issue from Blountstown turning over the ball. And, Chipley got it right back in their possession and scored on pretty much every drive they took back over on. So, Chipley looked really good. They wanted this tonight. We talked about how they do on their home territory. They did it again, obviously fell to Bozeman a couple weeks back, but they're making sure they maintain this home streak that they have going on. But yeah, Chipley looked really good. I know Blountstown got it kind of moving in the second half. Took Tristan King out of the game for a little bit, threw someone else in there, got a little bit more momentum going, but only 1 score from the Blountstown Tigers in the first half.
Right, and there's a couple of these plays that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I feel like I've seen this exact play earlier in the season. Ethan Berry to Tayshawn Sims. There's the connection all over the field. This was an absolute win for the Chipley Tigers. Blountstown had won 5 games in a row coming into this. It's always hard to play in Chipley. I'm sure Chipley would like their chances against a Bozeman if they got to go back there. But this is just a huge win for Chipley as they go into the playoffs. It could potentially move seeding a bit. I know Holmes County beat Chipley head-to-head, but this obviously a top 10 victory for Blountstown. You like to think that the head-to-head plays out in Holmes County's favor, but you never know when you get a quality win like this, what it can do in the seeding. I would like to think it's Holmes County 2, Chipley 3, but this is just an absolute big win for Coach Buchanan.
Well, and I'd
Tigers.
Be scared, too, with just how they look tonight. If this is what we're going to see in the postseason from Chipley, Get ready.
Absolutely.
Get ready.
If I'm Bozeman and I have a 1 seed and I'm waiting, around, I'd rather have Holmes County. I don't want to play Chipley again, whether home or away. That's a team that I'm scared of, whereas Holmes County, I think, all right, we played really well against them and they're a very good team. I'm probably more fearful of Chipley.
Yeah. I am.
In the playoffs.
They look good.
We have a lot of support for those Chipley Tigers.
Yeah.
Like we said, Coach Buchanan and his wife Brittany, they have a big night for those Chipley Tigers up there. A lot of support, a lot of blue and gold down here in the comments. Support for Blountstown too, because they did give Chipley a battle. It is a very tough place to win, as we saw with Bozeman winning on a walk-off field goal earlier this year. You just don't win very often in Chipley. Other than Bozeman, the last time that somebody won there was a very good playoff team, I think November of 2021. So
Yeah.
it just very rarely does it happen, and only twice since Coach Buchanan has taken over the program has Chipley lost at home. We're going to move on to the Bozeman Bucks as we see a ton of support down here in the comments. 10-0, go Bucks. We got some, how about those Bucks? Go Bucks, undefeated, 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, 10-0.
What's their record?
That is right. They are 10-0. This one was a awful start for Rutherford. They go down 14-0, and you're like, oh my gosh, this one is going to get out of hand. It is going to get ugly quick. We had a pass to Cole McClellan, Chance Jenkins is scoring, and then Jason Havens Jr. is like, hold on. Let's figure things out.
I can throw the ball.
Keen Waters puts it in his hands. That one would get a penalty, an unsportsmanlike penalty, but it was a good touchdown. And then it's 21-7. He hits Chance Jenkins across the middle. Peyton Gay finds him. It's 21-7. You're like, all right, back in Bozeman's command. And then just like that, to start the second quarter, it's 21-14. And you're looking over at Bozeman and you're like, uh-oh, this is getting a little scary. This one, I think we're going to see the interception here first by Keen Waters. And then I can't talk this up enough. I literally cannot talk up this next play enough. This is a freshman out here that is going to kick a 42-yard field goal in high school. Dead center. Camera's focusing in a bit. Had a few yards to go there. That one might have been good from about 50.
Gosh.
Huge field goal. That's going to put it at 17-21. And then Bozeman once again. We got Gabe Reyna just throwing defenders to the side and going about 70 yards down the field for a touchdown. Then it's 27-17 because of a mixed extra point. And then this one's just back and forth. It goes into the break 27-24. 51 total points scored in the first half. Bozeman going to pull away late in the fourth quarter. There's 0 scores after 51 points in the first half, 0 scores in the third quarter. Rutherford giving it everything they got. Coach Floyd and the gang, they really played with heart tonight. And Bozeman snuck out of this one. They did pull away late, but they snuck out of this one, finishing 10-0. We knew that Rutherford was going to give them all they had, and they did. Obviously, we see some great plays here by some very, very talented seniors on Rutherford, but Bozeman finishing 10-0 on the season. What do you think of this one? Rutherford giving them a run for their money.
I just think there is so much to take away from this game, and it's so fun to watch because both teams have so much talent. Rutherford, we've been saying this for a long time, they are a very good team. I know their record doesn't depict that, but they have a lot of talent. It's first year under Coach Floyd. They're learning, they're figuring out grooves. Some things haven't gone their way. They've been learning from that, figuring it out, and they really tested Bozeman in this first half, and Bozeman knew that. I talked to them this week, and they knew that this was going to be a test. They knew they can't just walk over Rutherford like a lot of people. Oh, you're playing Rutherford, you'll be fine. That wasn't the case. We saw it in the first half. That field goal, insanity. You talk about how hard it is. We see it in high school. Missed extra points, missed field goals all the time. So for a freshman to do that, so impressive. Love seeing the connection from a lot of these guys. I know the Peyton Gay, Chance Jenkins connection is very special. So love that little celebration there. But good to see Bozeman. They saw it in the fourth quarter, hit the Jets and just pumped it to where there was no chance of losing this one. And 10-0, I know Coach Griff and the whole team are very happy.
Right, and like I said, you can't give Rutherford enough credit for this one because you really just saw, there's a bright future with the program. They went down 14-0, and you're going to think they're going to collapse. They're going to just let it roll away, and they don't. We are going to talk a lot about Bozeman, but seriously, you got to tip your hat to Rutherford tonight. They did give those 10-0 Bucks a run for their money. Like we said, there is a lot of comments for these Bozeman Bucks. They say they're ready to play anyone, and hey, we'll wait and see. They got another week to kind of sit and watch. I also do see a lot of support for the Walton Braves, who are also 10-0 on the night. We're going to go through one more ball game before we get to those 10-0 Braves, and that was an absolute battle up in Jackson County, up in Marianna. Marianna wins by 1 point. What did you see from this one as Marianna needed to win to get in the playoffs?
Yeah, this was a huge one for Marianna, and I think we've talked about as well, how tough this district is for Marianna, and they've gone through it these last couple weeks, and I think a lot of people were quick to say, okay, yeah, Marianna just played a bunch of 1R teams, then they played their district. They're not good. They're not, they're not this big Marianna that everyone is rooting for and talking about. But this was a big test for them. We've seen South Walton. We know South Walton has a dominant offense. We see it in a bunch of plays here. But we know Amari Clemens and the Marianna offense is also very, very strong. So, I didn't know what to expect from this matchup necessarily. It was one a couple weeks back that I was like, this could be game of the week. And it clearly could have been game of the week as well. What great competition from both teams. Both insane athletes on each side of the ball. I know it went down to the final. I know that South Walton dropped a pass in the end zone, which would have won the game. And then after that, they missed a 30-yard field goal with 40 seconds left on the clock. That would have also won the game for South Walton. So a heartbreaking finish for the Seahawks, but a huge win for Marianna, an exciting one for those Bulldogs.
Right, and obviously for South Walton, they would have loved to have this game. They are already in the playoffs because they won their district. They clinched a spot, but this one would have been huge for seeding purposes. This one could have maybe given them a favorable matchup, potentially, and I say that with a big asterisk, could have gotten them a home field spot in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have because the top of Class 2S is very district champion. So probably not, but seeding-wise could have gotten a more favorable matchup. But Marianna, they had to win this one likely to get in. They had a couple teams, Godby, down there that had beaten them, that's sitting on the outside looking in, that maybe could have snuck in had Marianna lost tonight. But they don't. They pulled off a quality win against another playoff team. And I would like to say, we'll have to wait till Sunday, but I would like to say that the Marianna Bulldogs are in the playoffs. That is a huge win for Coach Glover and those guys.
And who doesn't want to see more of number 4?
Right.
Who doesn't?
You want to see Amari Clemens in the playoffs. It
was so exciting to see these highlights again tonight, so I'm ready for the playoffs.
Right. I do see, going back just to that Bozeman and Rutherford game, I see some support from Coach Old down in the comment. Dad moment, 42-yard field goal from his son. And he's only a freshman. That's what he said.
That is amazing.
This is a kid that I think we'll see probably out on the soccer field a little bit, showing off his leg for Rutherford. But that is a fantastic 42. That just doesn't happen at high school level very often.
Well, and another thing from Rutherford, we've talked about this Bozeman defense before, allowing 13.5 points a game. Rutherford put up 24. So, I mean, Rutherford's just one of those teams that, it's easy to, they lost, but they definitely deserve recognition. That field goal, that score, they still put up a really good fight tonight for senior night.
Right. And Bozeman tonight, fantastic game.
Yeah.
They did have a couple injuries. I know Trevin Sweat went down. I hope that he was fine. He had some ice on his knee over on the side. That's a big loss if he goes down for a long period of time. But we're going to hope he's fine. Kevin Gibbons also, I think he hurt his hand. I think he was able to go back in and play. But, Bozeman, they're going to have some time to rest. They're going to have that first round bye. Another big win for those Bucks. Marianna in the playoffs, South Walton in the playoffs, Blountstown, Chipley, Bozeman all in the playoffs. Who else is in the playoffs? Well, that is the Walton Braves, dropping 54 points tonight, improving to 10-0 on the season. Wells Bettenhausen, we've been talking about him.
Oh, yeah.
First off, this play, come on now. Are you kidding? He put him in a blender twice and then went unscored. I mean, that was just a fantastic.
And then I love Nuke coming in there like, yep, okay.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic. But Wells, we've been talking about him lately, being recruited by Louisville.
Yeah.
A Division I ACC school that's had some pretty fantastic Heisman quarterbacks in the past. Wells clearly, not your typical Lamar Jackson, but hey, he's a pocket passer with a lot of height, and he showed what he's capable of. Walton, Nuke McKenzie, and the gang 10-0 tonight. They put on a show against a team that still has a lot of talent from that state runner-up year last year in Class 1R. But Walton, they are 10-0 on the year. They are the number 1 seed in Class 2S. That's 2 Suburban Region 1, and they'll have not a first-round bye because those higher classifications don't get a bye. But we could see, a Marianna Walton, a South Walton matchup. I would love to see one of those. We'll see if it actually happens. But those Braves, there is a lot of fans down in the comments.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Braves. And hey, you gotta give it to them. They went crazy tonight. They've gone crazy all season. They've played an incredible schedule. I think they're still ranked 2nd in Class 2 Suburban overall across the state. They're top 15 in the entire state. So Coach White and the gang, they deserve it. 10-0, and man, what a fantastic regular season. I really hope that it goes far into the postseason.
Me too.
Well, we do have some more comments in here talking about I see some more Rutherford fans and support in here.
A lot of bucks.
Yes, a lot of bucks. Yeah. It's a big night for the Bozeman and Walton teams. 10-0. They're the only 2 undefeated teams. We had a couple last year, but Bozeman and Walton, tip your hats because you guys were the number 1 seed in your region. Another one in Class 1R that had some playoff implications, not exactly for who got in, but for seeding is Port St. Joe and Bay. Bay needed to win if they wanted a prayer to get in the playoffs. They probably were not going to get in, win or lose, but they had to win to get in. They do not, so Bay will not be in the postseason. Port St. Joe, this one possibly locking up, a 2 or a 3 seed. They're going to have to wait and see what happens because, Blountstown lost, Asilla Christian lost, who were both ahead of them. They were the 3 seed in Region 2 heading into this week. And then Cottondale won. So Cottondale, Asilla, Blountstown, and Port St. Joe are going to be your top 4 seeds in the Region 2. But Port St. Joe putting on a show tonight, and I got to wait for it. Where's this jump pass from our boy? I mean, the Tim Tebow play that we were waiting for all night long. I know Courtney was chalking this one up all night. Here it is. Uh-oh. Got him.
He does it all.
But yes, a big night for Port St. Joe and the Tiger Sharks. What do you think from this matchup of just seeing, Port St. Joe run away from a very young but also talented Bay High squad?
Yeah, we know this one's always going to be a fun, competitive game. And, I mean, it was right out the gate. Bay with the interception. Then Port St. Joe says, okay, not so fast. They just hit the Jets on the offense. Devin Catino, we got a sophomore QB in there. We have Chance Gainer in there. I mean, it's just that talent as well is just insane. So exciting to see for Port St. Joe. This was a big win for them, at home. Wanted to cap it off. Senior night, final game at home. Secure some good playoff seeding as well.
Right. And, this one, again, huge for district or for Class 1R Region 2. Big seating wise, I see a lot of Port St. Joe fans obviously happy about this one. And Chance Gainer, I mean, you can't say anything else about that. Devin Catino and Chance Gainer, just duo. They have been fantastic this year. And I know we've said he's the jack of all trades. He's the jack of all trades.
He is the jack of all trades.
I do see some more Chipley support in there. I see Coach Kennedy down in the comments talking about those Tigers with a big win tonight. And by the way, just a shout out to Kyler Bryant with a big touchdown tonight. He's getting some recruits. He's getting some offers at the collegiate level for basketball. So obviously Chipley's basketball team with some high expectations.
Season coming around. Talked to Coach tonight. Asked him if he was ready for the season. He said we still got a little bit of time. So
but hoping that he's probably hoping he gets his guys back, but he also wants to see Chipley go far in the playoffs. Another game with playoff implications. It is Sneads and Freeport. Freeport probably needing to win tonight to get in the playoffs. They do not. It is all Sneads here. What do you see from Sneads as they go off? Jason Patterson going crazy again tonight.
Well, we kind of talked about Amari Clemens, how it was exciting to see him back in action. And it's the same with Jason Patterson. He has so much talent. So it's just nice to see those highlights of him because, it's not Sneads football if we don't see Jason Patterson at this point. So, but Freeport also, put up a tough fight. Some awesome plays from the Bulldogs. Sneads is going to be one of those teams that really forces you to get creative. So, shout out to Coach Arns and his team for really finding a way to put up some points. This one, just lobs the ball down the field. So impressive to see what the Bulldogs, they were fighting for, any hope of making the playoffs, and they put up a good fight. But this Sneads team, whatever happened to them in the middle of the season, they have snapped back from on offense and defense. So, it's a tough road game to try to go out there and win.
Right. And like we said, we saw that Vernon score tonight, and that one was big. They were watching this matchup for sure because Vernon beat Freeport earlier on this season, and Freeport was still ranked ahead of them in the rankings this upcoming week. Freeport, if the season would have ended this last week, would have been in. Vernon would have been out, but Vernon gets the win. They go and they pick up a big win on the road against FAMU DRS. That one probably gonna propel Vernon over Freeport. I know Baker was right there, or excuse me, not Baker. Who am I thinking of? That's between, not Baker, not Freeport. I'll figure it out in a second. But they were right there in the mix. I'm about to pull that up in a second because no, it is Baker. It is Baker. Baker was right there in the mix. So Vernon was underneath Baker and Freeport, but a win tonight, I would have to imagine, would propel them over Freeport and over Baker to get in the playoffs. If that is the case, that is a phenomenal first season for Coach Tillman and the gang up there in Washington County. Getting just one win last season. They turn it around this year, possibly in the playoffs. Again, we got a lot to talk about as far as playoffs go. I see some Cottondale sport in here and everything.
Yeah.
And again, going to go back to the comments because I see some more support for Walton tonight.
Yeah.
I see talking about number 54 lost his dad.
Yeah,
and
Haas
they scored
Doss.
54 tonight. That is Haas Doss. His dad never misses a ball game. That is a special moment. That is one of those things that you'll remember, going into the final night of the regular season, and another big win for the Braves.
Special.
And that is a special moment.
Yeah.
54 points. Great night for those Walton Braves. Well, we're going to get into talking about scores, breakdowns, playoff picture. Any takeaways from tonight that really surprised you?
No, I don't think so. I think the biggest thing, we were talking about this as we were kind of going through some of the highlights. I think in every game that we had highlights from tonight or yesterday, we also have that one Thursday night game as well. There was just an incredible play from each game. So it's just awesome to see, these athletes put it all out there, as the postseason, trying to get that better season, trying to secure a spot in the playoffs. They just, put up some really big performances tonight. So I think that was just a big takeaway from tonight.
Right. You did mention this Thursday night games.
Yeah.
Do we have the Holmes County highlights in the show? Okay. We're missing one more game with highlights. We will go over that one. This one last night. We don't have the Mosley highlights. We don't have the Weewell highlights, but we do have the Holmes County
I
highlights.
think you need to clarify what number 2, his main position is, because you may not know from
what
these.
position does Landon Lumpkin play?
He is the starting quarterback for the Blue Devils. You may not know from these highlights, but Landon Lumpkin is the starting quarterback. Just a couple pick sixes, interceptions, no biggie from Landon Lumpkin.
Right. And, well, there's another interception. So Landon Lumpkin having himself a night last night, and then you'll see, on the next play, he's going to have a rushing touchdown. But Holmes County, they win this one 32-14 over Destin. We were talking about that with Holmes County Chipley. An 8-2 Holmes County, and then is it 6-2 or 7-2 Chipley, because they played
7-2.
7-2 Chipley. So we're gonna have a 7-2 Chipley and 8-2 Holmes County. Holmes County beat Chipley head to head, so you'd like to think that keeps Holmes County above Chipley, but with Chipley getting that win over Blountstown tonight, you never know what's going to happen. That's going to bring us in to our playoff picture. That would be the case. Right now, we have Bozeman and Holmes County with our projected first-round playoff buys. Bozeman's certainly going to get it. We also think that Holmes County is going to get that playoff bye. Not 100%. We'll see what the state decides, what the FHSA figures out, but I would think it's going to be Bozeman 1, Holmes County 2.
Yeah, disclosure,
Chipley
these are your
3.
thoughts. These are what we think.
This is what we think is going to happen.
Don't take our word
At the beginning
completely.
of the night, Freeport was on the bubble, Vernon on the bubble. Vernon won. Freeport did not. We think that Vernon will get in the playoffs. That is our projection here. Same with this one. What do you kind of see from Region 2? A very interesting Region 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we see Blountstown. They've had a great streak the last couple of weeks, first round bye. Two other teams, I know that Cottondale was waiting for that Port St. Joe score tonight because that's a big one. They want to know what that one is. So, yeah, those two with the clinch playoff berths. Then you see Sneads. That was one that we questioned a little bit, when they kind of fell through that spell, but picked it up towards the end of the regular season. So, seeing them in there as well. And then two teams, we won Liberty. Their records...
I think we got back to 500 and Liberty County
just
they're
under
finish,
500.
Liberty County is going to finish the season at 4-6.
Yeah,
we was going to be at 500 and 5-5. So, last week it was going to be Weewah Hitchcock with that 6 seed and Liberty County the 7 seed. I think with Weewah winning and Liberty also winning, I think they'll probably side with Weewah Hitchcock on that one. I would like to think that'll be Weewah Hitchcock 6 and Liberty County not making the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see. That's going to be the decision for the committee on Sunday. Sneads, they will be in. They're going to finish the season at 5-4. They've rattled off a few wins at the end of the year. Looking red hot. Like I said last week, they're a team I do not want to play in that region.
Oh,
no. So we'll see how things stack up. We don't have the teams that are not within our 21 teams listed up here on the board. You got an Osceola Christian up there that's going to be in the mix as well. But we're probably going to have a Blountstown, Osceola, Port St. Joe. You could maybe see a Port St. Joe probably propel into second. I would like to think Port St. Joe gets that first round playoff bye. And I would like to think that Cottondale and Osceola will probably be playing in the opening week. So we'll probably get a Sneads Cottondale or a Sneads
Cottondale is
Osceola.
Another one of those teams that's been heating up lately.
Oh, yeah.
That offense is insane.
Right. Cam Odom, we said the player of the week across the state this past week.
By Max Preps, and he's second in the entire state for scoring. And I think that number doesn't even include his passing touchdown. So he was only 10 points behind before tonight. And that doesn't include some of his points. So he should probably be the top scoring leader in the state, but according to Max Preps, he's second now.
We shall see. But for sure, those teams at the top are going to be in. We're going to think Weewah, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
In Class 2S, we do have Walton. Obviously, they're going to be the 1 seed in that region, a first-round playoff bye. They finish... they will not have a first-round playoff bye. That is my mistake for having that up there. But they will be the 1 seed, and they will be the number 1 team in that region. In the Class 2 Suburbans, the Class 4 Suburbans, all the ones that are not 1A, they don't get a bye. They'll just get that 1-8 matchup in the first-round playoff. But then, again, South Walton, they win their district, so they are automatically in no matter what. Before this week, Marianna was in the playoffs. They were, the 7 seed. So with a win tonight, we like to think that puts them in the playoffs. There's a lot going on here. I know a lot of people want to do the math and break it down. Sometimes there's some surprises that shock some people. So we do want to say as a disclaimer, if we say one thing and that's not the case on Sunday, we do apologize. But this is going off the metric that the system had this last week. This is where they had all stacked up, did the math on everything, saw where it should all go with a win and a loss. We'll see what happens on Sunday. The only other team that we haven't exactly mentioned a whole lot has been Mosley. They won their district with a win over Niceville. That gets them in the playoffs. No matter what, they will likely probably be an 8 seed.
Yeah.
Probably be the 8 seed in that Class 4 Suburban.
I talked to Coach Wooden this week, and we were kind of maybe talking about, what the playoffs are going to look like for the Dolphins. And he said, I don't even try to guess at this point because you never know what's going to happen. So not sure what's going to happen with any of these matchups, but just how things are stacking up right now.
Right. I do see some support for North Bay Haven, a big regular season for them. And first-year head coach Knaus over there. They did put up some good wins this
Only
year.
Only a couple
and
seniors, very small senior class.
Small senior class. They'll be back next year with a lot of talent. Arnold put on a show against them tonight, 46-0. But both of those teams will not be in the playoffs. I see some support for Cam. I'm assuming Cameron Odom on that one.
Yeah, we'll go Cam Odom on that one.
He is the Cam around here.
Yeah.
He is the man.
He deserves the first name.
Oh, yeah.
Nickname.
He's on first name basis around here. Well, that is probably going to do it for us tonight. We will have all the brackets released on Sunday, so go ahead and be looking out for those. If you can't catch the show live, we'll have all the matchups and everything posted on mypanhandle.com. That'll all come out on Sunday, and then you'll be able to check out that. We'll be back here next week, but because we have so many teams with a bye in the first round, we might have less matchups next week than the week prior. So week 2 of the playoffs, we might actually have a more full show than week 1 of the playoffs. We'll see how everything stacks up. But again, that is going to do it for us tonight. If you want to watch all the highlights from this evening, from last night's game, go to mypanhandle.com, click on the sports tab. That is going to do it for us. We will likely follow through the playoffs on Afterburn.
Yeah, why not?
Even if we're not doing Friday Night Fever. So be looking out. We'll try to get here every single Friday night. As long as we have a team active, we're going to do the very best we can. Thank you guys for your support. We will be back next week for the opening night of the playoffs.